Hello friends, welcome to another Greggington free-to-play rock video. Today sponsored by paracetamol because I'm poorly, but I've dedicated myself to doing a video nonetheless, because I've been in bed all day and this is a perfect tonic. Anyway, today's video entitled Defeated by the Wall, and my god, this wall is looming large over everything we do. We're pretty much... Well, we've got the Siege Workshop as well, but I think we've got 20... Yeah, everything's 23 apart from the Siege Workshop in terms of the research buildings. There are the production buildings for troops. That'll be another 10, 10, 10 or 9, 9, 6 to build, something like that. And then we've got this big old wall, which costs 18, 21, and 33. We are low, low, low on our resources. Let's see how many we actually have. Not the greatest thing to do this, but I trust I'm not going to get attacked. So our grand total is this plus a bit more. Oh, God, it's even lower than I thought. So we are gathering to our heart's content in order to get ourselves to level 24 City Hall. 25 is going to be even longer away. Like I'm not even dreaming of 25 yet. But in terms of 24, so I said about a week last time. I'm still thinking about that. 5 more days, maybe 4 more days of gathering, and then we'll get there. So I thought today, instead of just looking at all these big builds and thinking, oh, God, that's a lot, we'd answer some viewer questions. Loads of people post questions on the videos. Loads of people interact. Sometimes I respond to them. Sometimes I don't do it in a timely manner. So I thought today we'd go through a list of things people have asked and discuss them here. Why not? So, without further ado, Monkey Run a day ago said, the Universal Gold Heads should be saved up for wheeled commanders. If you don't mind being useless before Season of Conquest, you should save up for commanders like Scipio Prime, Zhugliang, or Nevsky. Gold key commanders will be maxed sooner or later. And obviously that's in response to my investing gold heads in Thutmose. And it's an interesting question. Well, it wasn't a question, first of all, but it's an interesting point of discussion because he's completely right. Like there's no defense to that. Gold key commanders will all be maxed in the long run, and none of them are particularly usable in the later game. There's some exceptions, but for what it's worth, it's Mehmed, Charles Martel. Even Thutmose is quite good late. But it's very few. Like, all the main ones are completely useless later. Like, let's look at the legendary we have now. Like, Thutmose can be used. Ethelheads can be. Those gatherers, useless. Usable, useless, useless. Probably useless, 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 and useless. So he's completely right, but it leads to an interesting discussion, one which we've had before on this is it worth investing gold heads in commanders before KVK 3, otherwise known now as Season of Conquest, pre-Season of Conquest, thanks to how they changed the games. And I guess that depends on what you're looking to get out of it. So we're going to count the Gold Key Commanders and YSG, Richard, Alexander, Edward of Woodstock, Saladin as the main ones. You could also have the MGE Commanders for KVK2, that's Constantine, Tamiris, and Genghis Khan. So, first of all of these commanders are, well, not weak, but all of these commanders are trumped when you go to Season of Conquest. There are better commanders out there. There's much better commanders out there. The one beauty about these guys is, the only real redeeming feature is you can use them for the first 260 days of the game. We are currently in day 48. So it's going to be 200 plus days until I can get my hands on a Nevsky. That's 6 months. Now 6 months is a very long time to play while being useless. I understand in the long run, and I agree, it's better to save all gold heads, save everything, and as soon as Season of Conquest comes, bam, you've got yourself a max Scipio Prime, everything looks rosy. But if you do that, you're missing out on Alexander, and thus being useful in KVK2, you're missing out on YSG, and thus having a really good archer commander, especially if you're an archer account like I am. So I've chosen not to follow that line here. I'm not going to go crazy, I will save some, but I'm going to be putting most of my gold heads, I believe, in YSG. He's not terrible in Season of Conquest. He's not as good as Zhugliang. He's not as good as Boudica Prime. I'm sure there'll be more archer commanders who are even better by the time I get there, who are newly released. Not quite yet, admittedly, but Lilith will definitely release some. So it's a balance, really, between enjoyment now and enjoyment later. And as a child of the 21st century, not the 20th century, I mean, I've got old grey hair, but I'm not that old, sort of. I think for my specific needs, I'm going to say I agree with you, my dear friend Monkey Run. You're completely correct. But I do think for my own personal enjoyment for the next 6 months, I am going to put the heads, maybe not in Thutmose, maybe I will, but mainly in YSG, so I can have some good marches for KVK 1 and 2. There's an interesting point of discussion. There's a couple more. Christopher said, how do you get so many VIP points? And of course, we hit VIP 10 a week ago. That's day 41, we hit VIP 10, which is insanely good for a free-to-play account. Now, I could say here that I've saved all my gems from the Chronicle rewards. I could say I've been mining gems. I haven't really been mining gems. I've not done anything special whatsoever. All I've been doing every day is clicking on Alliance, Gifts, Rare, and opening all the gold chests. They've slowed down now because the tier 5 people are quite clearly tier 5, but we still get some. Got 2,000 VIP points today or yesterday. So, the answer is I just got in a good alliance. But that brings up another important discussion point. Something I didn't really realise until making this series, that with a free-to-play account, it is absolutely integral that you do what you can to get in the biggest alliance as soon as possible. Not only do you get the gold chests, you get all of the best Chronicle rewards, because for instance, compete to enter the top 20 alliances. That was 3,000 gems and 3 days speed up. Your alliance controls the level 2 pass. I'm in the top alliance, of course we do, 2,000 gems. Your alliance controlled a shrine. Of course we did. Top alliance, 2,000 gems. So I'd say there's probably about 10,000 plus gems from the Chronicles that I have the benefit of due to being in the top alliance. And moreover, of course, you do get the gold chests, which contain either a good amount of gems or often VIP points, and they help you push to VIP 10. So that's changed the way I look at being a free-to-play player, because I always thought the best thing to do was hoard. That's hoard, not a different word. And then when relevant events come up, you go in the events, you smash out the speed ups, you get as high as you can in the events. Like we have a Mightiest Governor at the moment. Not the greatest example, because of course we're going to get nowhere near the top 100 for things like this early on in the game when we've got all the whales. But something like this, or maybe pre-KVK troop training, you just smash out all the speed ups there, get a respectable score. However, if you do that, you really haven't got much power early on. In which case you're not going to get in a good alliance, and you're not going to get the benefits of these early gems, these early VIP points, these early speed ups. I have so many speed ups compared to being a free-to-play account on day 40 odd, from just being in the top alliance, from all these gold chests that everyone's been buying. There we go, nearly 1,000 of these, 600 of these. Like, we really have benefited from being in there. So my advice would be, if you're doing a new free-to-play account, if you're doing a free-to-play jumper account or anything, whether you're in a big jumper project or, like myself, you're just going in blind, putting in a random kingdom, seeing who you meet, which I think is the more fun way of doing it. The importance of pushing early and making sure you get a place in this top alliance and all the benefits that come with it cannot be overstated. So Christopher, I would say that is how I get so many VIP points, half through luck by being on the top alliance, but half through I really did push my power. If you watch the early videos of this series, I really made sure I was mashing the speed ups early on, maxing all the commanders to get fake power, just so my power gets up there, so I never got kicked from the top alliance. And of course, I'm not terrible at running a free-to-play account. There's certainly better players than me out there, but I know how to build power slowly, so I'm able to stay in as a stable member. And it's one of those snowballing effects I talk about. What am I in the kingdom? 63rd. And because I'm in the top alliance, I will always gather power quicker than people who aren't in it. And the reason I'm in the top alliance is because I pushed power early. So there is a lot to be said, in fact, for pushing power early to make sure you can reap the rewards. Someone called User HJ and then some numbers said, are you planning to main archers? Yes. Is it a good idea to main archers if you're free to play? Is it a good idea to main archers anyway? Also no. I mean, from my experience, archer marchers just get taken down. They're strong, but they're weak. By which I mean they pack a punch, but they die quickly. Which is why I'm so keen to get Thutmose as my leader, because he's got a bit of tankiness about him. Like a mini Boudica Prime for later in the game. But Archers is very much not recommended if you're doing your own free-to-play account and perhaps you're new to the whole idea and you're just looking for being the most relevant player you can at every stage of the game. I would always recommend going Infantry. Infantry you get good equipment for early, you get a good commander for it in Sun Tzu pretty much for free if you're choosing China, which you should be. You get Pyrrhus now if you want to put in some gems, some money, or just invest early on. You get Richard, who's excellent for KVK1 and usable in 2. You get Alexander in KVK2, who is definitely the best commander until we get to Season of Conquest. So Infantry really is the top tier free-to-play troop type early on. Then it gets beaten up by Cavalry, and definitely not by Archers, but I like Archers. I think Archers are fun, so I'm maining Archers very much. Simply Relaxation asked for a Discord link. There is a Discord link in the description. I know he's gone down. We've spoken in there. So, guys, if you want to join the Discord, obviously it's still new, it's still growing. Please feel free and meet some like-minded rock fans like you and me. And then we have some incredibly strong players who are telling me about their big free-to-play accounts. I've followed a lot of them. Free-to-play noob guy, huge free-to-play account. There's a chap in 3258 with 10 million power. Great. I mean, these guys are really killing it. And on that note, Brawl Gaming said, why don't you create a farm account? Well, we do have a farm account. It's not a huge farm account. It's this thing here. It's just got to 2 million power. Woo, woo, woo. Didn't sound very exciting at all, right? But what I was thinking of doing, and I've gone away from this, is making 3 farm accounts. So make 2 in another kingdom and migrate them over. And just have them all gather. And on my main, well, on this main account, all I do is I spend all day, every day, mining gems. That is probably the best way of doing it. You get your resources supplied from the other accounts, and you provide the gems yourself, which you will so dearly need in order to get to the higher VIP levels. However, whilst that is such a good idea in terms of being really good at rock and making sure that you're maximizing absolutely everything, it is a very long-winded way of doing things. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of effort, and whilst I'm sad enough to have the willingness to do that, I do want this account to be more than just the best free-to-play. I want this to be a representative free-to-play experience, and I would wager that everyone with 3 farm accounts is perhaps in like the top 1 or top 2% of people who dedicate time to rock, which I know applies to a lot of people watching this, but a lot of people watching this will be people who perhaps they've got full-time job, they've got 1 or 2 hours a day, logging on a farm account, farm, next one, farm, build, next one, farm, build, research, train, go back on your main, find some gems. You've pretty much exhausted all your rock time. If you want to hang out with people, socialize with people in your alliance and talk, then you're really struggling. So I want this account to be more mimetic to a realistic person's experience of playing Rise of Kingdoms, instead of people like like myself who try hard with 7 farm accounts in the same kingdom I've got in 31. So that's why I'm really not pushing every angle to maximize everything. I'm trying to maximize things within reason while still keeping this to be a realistic representation of how Rise of Kingdoms is if you've got, say, 2 or 3 hours a day to play it. Well, my friends, this is a few of the questions asked. If you've got any questions about the series, any questions about anything at all rock related, I might be able to answer them. If not, I'll try anyway. The confidence has never been an issue of mine. So please feel free to post them in. As we saw from the beginning, this is very much a let's wait for more resources video. But sometimes it's nice to just take a step back, chat, and say thanks very much for all the time you spend watching the videos, everyone, and all the comments you leave. Find them interesting, as proven here. Hopefully next time we'll have more to show than waiting for a wall. Until then, I'll sniff myself out. Take care.